by liberals. They've reduced him to this slightly eccentric old man who likes painting and not what he is, which is of course a war criminal.
The art community wasn't exactly my base of support when I ran for office.
If you've followed the news about Afghanistan beyond the headlines, the fact that the Afghan army capitulated very quickly isn't that shocking. It's still on the British Army website that they've trained 350,000 soldiers in Afghanistan. Between 100,000 and 200,000 were just ghost soldiers. Their wages was being pocketed by corrupt officials, dodgy generals. The shock in this country probably speaks to the media narrative, which has repeated government press releases on the progress in Afghanistan almost verbatim. The reality on the ground is that beyond Kabul and a few other major cities with a major military presence, the government's grip, and by extension the Western grip on power in Afghanistan, was always fairly tenuous. It's hard to say what will happen now. There have been some bizarre Adam Curtis-esque images of young Taliban fighters riding merry-go-rounds, going to the gym and riding bumper cars in a fairground in Kabul. Whether Taliban 2.0 is the same as the Taliban of 96 or 2001, I don't know. Time will only tell, but we know they're a deeply reactionary, conservative force. There are concerns that the Taliban will come in and their presence will diminish human rights, and they're justified concerns. But it's also true that the occupation diminished human rights. The British military, the Australian military, the US military, the various murders and massacres of innocent Afghans, the drone war, all of these are human rights issues.
The inquiry found credible evidence that 39 Afghan men and teenagers had been unlawfully killed. Allegations include junior soldiers being coerced into executing prisoners to get their first kill, and that weapons were planted on victims to make it look like the killings were legitimate. This man told us about the day his brother was allegedly killed by Australian troops.
We were fishing and having a picnic. Around noon, the foreigners carried out their raid. They arrested my brother and took him to a corner. A few minutes later, they shot him in the head 3 times, and once in his stomach.
The argument that we intervene in places and that doing so helps women and children. It's a really, really insidious argument which is made by people who would consider themselves liberals. Let's face it, that's where that comes from. In the army we have a term for that, it's called bullshit. I just don't buy it. And if you are concerned about women, then you would look at places like Saudi Arabia, a close ally, recipient of millions of dollars worth of military equipment. The condition of women in Libya, where after intervention there were slave markets, literal slave markets.
Black skin is a commodity in Libya. We're sold at cheap prices like chickens.
In Afghanistan, 40% of people who were killed in airstrikes were children. That is our airstrikes.
Husbands, fathers, mothers, wives, and many, many children.